Good evening and welcome to the Newshour. I'm Madhavdas G. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the ecosystem for long has peddled Islamophobia lies to whitewash terror. When attacks on Hindus and their symbols took place in Leicester, the lobby was busy pinning the blame on Sanghi mindset. When a Birmingham Hindu temple was ambushed by a mob and Hindus inside the temple were subjected to abuse, the same ecosystem turned a blind eye. But a report backed by the United Kingdom government has detailed the terror threat in black and white. An assessment of Prevent, one of the 4 strands of the United Kingdom government's anti-terrorism strategy, has stated that Islamist terrorism is the largest threat the UK is facing. It asserts that Islamists feature in 80% of the counter-terrorism police network's live investigations. The report also talks about how Islamist terrorists radicalize youth by playing the victim card. To highlight a few, the report elaborates on how the report in fact portrays Muslim community as constantly under attack to stir up an undue sense of alarm, resentment and anger amongst them. Listen in to what the UK Home Secretary had to say.
The UK's counter-terrorism strategy contest is made up of 4 Ps: prevent, pursue, protect and prepare. Preventing radicalisation into terrorism in the first place is critical to defeating the threat. With thanks to William Shawcross and his superb independent review of Prevent, we now understand where real reform is required to strengthen our fight against radicalisation, to ensure we are taking every possible step to protect our country from the threat posed by terrorism. More will be done to disrupt radicalisers and extremists, and we will deliver better training and guidance to improve understanding of the ideological nature of terrorism. Britain is a tolerant, welcoming and open society. For everyone to feel at home here, extremism must be rooted out.
Now, the report clearly states that radicalization and blasphemy-related violence needs to be countered. The report recommends that agencies must focus on how radicalization contributes to blasphemy, as the recent Islamist violence is linked to blasphemy. But instead of condemning terror with vigor, radicalization. So therefore, the entire talk about where the threat is really emerging from, this report very clearly exposes the kind of lies that have been peddled repeatedly by various political leaders here in India in response to the incidents of violence that we've seen in UK. Ahmed Ayaz.
Madhav, at the first place, you see, there is no religion which can be identified with the terrorism. There is hardly any religion which teaches terrorism. So it is wrong to identify terrorism with a religion, particularly so far as Islam is concerned, because it's Islam.
Nobody is. Sir, let me clarify at the outset. Anybody, one second, Mr. Ahmed Ayaz, it's an important point. It's an important point, so I just want to clarify my position just for the sake of our viewers, and you can respond after that. Nobody is linking any one religion with terror. Anyone who commits an act of terror, whichever religion, whether they're Hindu, whether they're Sikh, whether they're Muslim, is wrong. But this is a UK report that specifically talks about Islamist influences, and we're not even talking about every Islamist influence. We are talking about those Islamists who believe the path of violence is right. They say these individuals believe the path of violence is right, and that in any civil society, whether it is rule of law, is not acceptable. Surely you would agree that.
I never ever referred to the India. I say that all over there is a campaign to demean the Muslims. That being a reason, otherwise there is no reason to identify any terror activity with the Muslims or for that purpose with any religion. Knowingly that no religion teaches about it, why should it be related? Because there is a reason for people to do it. They derive benefit of it. It could be political, it could be certain vested interest. Otherwise there is no reason for anybody. Terror is a terror. It has no religion. It can be treated as a crime. But why to relate it to a particular religion? Why to call it a Muslim terror? Why to call it a Hindu terror? Why to call it a other terror?
Sir, Sir, because the religion is being misused in this particular case. That is what is being stated by the UK government. This is not anybody else's report. The UK government itself has found this, and they found several cases of people who even after being convicted were let off, their sentences were shortened, and they've seen this. They've given specific examples in this case. I'd like to take this across to our guests. I see many hands going up. Let me take this across to Shantanu Gupta. All right, Shantanu's hand is up. Shantanu, quick response to Ahmed Ayaz.
See, Madhav, let us not confuse the topic. There are two topics in hand. One is that a UK report, a UK government report is saying that radicalization is by Pakistan to UK Muslims causes a lot of anti-India, anti-Hindu narrative. That's being one. The second, which is most dangerous, that a lot of Indian secularists or Islamists are trying to shoo away. No, this is not even a topic. Even that's more dangerous. That the people sitting in India, even the UK is saying that what's happening in UK, and people sitting in India trying to shoo it away. They're saying, oh, this against Muslim, this against radical Muslims, and it's a UK government report. It's not some media channel, it's not some think tank. It's an official UK intelligence report. So we should go at most importance to this.
Absolutely, and in fact, let me bring in Tehseen. Tehseen, you know, look at what has been stated. The portray the community to be under constantly attack, characterizing extremists as freedom fighters. They talk about violence. They're talking about, you know, how they are radicalizing people in the name of Kashmir. There's a lot that is actually mentioned in this report to back up the claims that have been made. So it's not a report in the air. It's certainly not a report that has been made with political considerations. It is the local law and order issues that they are facing that the United Kingdom government has decided to reflect upon, and the government has even accepted these recommendations. So can this be really, shouldn't this really be taken at face value?
Good evening, Madhav. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Good evening to all my fellow panelists and to your viewers. Yes, it should be taken very, very, very seriously. And actually, I'm a little surprised that Preeti Patel and the UK government came out with this report this late. I remember when I was in Times Now, I think Shantanu was with me on the show then. This is known fact, right? So this is being done by Pakistan, Syria, and, you know, the loonies out there who attacked our Indian community after the cricket match. They were all the Syrian and Turkish people who were involved with ISIS, and they had nothing to do with the RSS, but they attacked the Indian Hindus out there. There are two issues that we need to go very, very seriously into this. One, let us just go back to when our Indian Hindus were attacked, and thank you Times Now for taking up this issue, because had you all not taken up, this government would not have woken up. When you all took it up, this entire process started from August after the India-Pakistan match, right? So there were loonies from Turkey, Syria, the ISIS gang that had nothing to do with RSS, Hinduism, nothing. They kept spreading these fake WhatsApps. But look, this is where I have to be critical of the government of India. They should have woken up, and they should have Indians. So when these terrible attacks by Pakistanis and these ISIS people were happening on Indian Hindus, the Indian Muslims were also being attacked, and they were being stuck on both sides.
Well, I'm glad you recognize that position, and Times Now has just been doing its job. Before I get a response,
look, India has to be first. I have several
Tehseen, before this is a long debate, so let's just go point by point. You've raised a number of points, and I'm going to get in Sanju to respond to you in just a moment. But I want to ask you a simple question, Tehseen. It's very well, and you're right, and as a citizen, you must ask questions of the government, particularly when it comes to Indians abroad and those who are facing law and order situations. But do you think it is responsible of people, the likes of Saket Gokhale and others, who had tweeted then and had jumped the gun, blaming it all on Hindutva? They blame the violence on Hindutva. You remember those tweets, you remember those statements that have been given by different political leaders, and there are those who are on denial even on this panel today, Tehseen Poonawalla. What would you like to say to them?
Terrible. Because abroad, look, abroad, Madhav, it doesn't matter Sanju's from BJP, Shantanu supports Aditya Nath and I support Rahul Gandhi. It doesn't matter. What matters is the color of us, the color that we all bow to is the tricolor. We all one abroad, right? So we cannot allow ourselves to be divided. But then again, the gentleman whose name you took, or Ariban, or Tehseen, or even Shantanu for that matter, is not the government. The government needs to act. If your High Commissioner gets up 4 days after Indians are beaten up, Hindus or Muslims, they were Indians beaten up, what is the point? If had Times Now not taken up this issue, Madhav, imagine what would have happened. The police chief was putting out fake tweets. Until we had to, until you guys exposed them.
Well, I'm very glad that your position that you've taken today is very different from at least some of the other panelists. And before I go across to Ahmed Ayaz, I want to bring in Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, Tehseen's position, of course, seems to be very different from some of the other panelists. But there are still those who are crying Islamophobia. Is that position tenable now, in your view?
Madhav, there is a famous saying, diplomacy is the art of saying and doing the nastiest things in the nicest way. I'll tell you why I quoted this. For Tehseen or anything else to come here and wax eloquent about the Modi government not doing this and not doing that and waking up after 4 days, I think this is just a whole lot of filibustering. The fact of the matter is that today, the charity commissioner, the ex-charity commissioner William Shawcross, his report has been taken on board officially by the UK government. And I want to add one very important thing. For the first time in so many decades, the current charity commissioner, Helen Stephenson, she has actually spoken not just about how Muslims in the UK are being radicalized, but she has spoken about the institutionalization of radical Islam. She has spoken about the institutionalization of Islamization and the institutional inertia amongst various countries who do not wish to recognize the fact that radical Islam is the single biggest threat today to global peace. And the most important thing is this, that, when that violence broke out last year in September after India defeated Pakistan in the T20 Cup of the Asia Cup, T20 match, I remember some of these panelists here, today they are singing a different tune. They were not even willing to acknowledge that Hindus were locked in, they were held at gunpoint, Hindu properties were burned, Hindu temples were vandalized, and there is a Muslim gentleman who was 24 years old who has been arrested thereafter for stabbing 2 UK policemen, and the same people who are lecturing today said, oh, but let us wait, he's just a 24-year-old, maybe, he was just radicalized but did not intend to carry out the so-called planned violence, which actually led to huge amount of mayhem and gained, infamy for Islamists across the world. Though they denied, the fact is that despite being just 4% of the population in UK, you need to ask yourself, why is it that 18% of the prisoners in UK are of Muslim descent? Because they are radicalized. They are hardened, radicalized jihadis, which Tehseen will not agree to and will play the victim card. See, we only constitute 4% of the population, but 18% of our people are inside UK prisons. It is
there is one at a time. Okay, quick response. Tehseen, the only point, only question that I want to surmise out of that is the global threat as far as Islamist terror is concerned, and this is something that is a serious security and law and order issue. Is it not?
Of course it's there. Of course there's a global threat. How can you dismiss the global threat? And on Rahul Shiv Shankar's show, I said that the loony who was attacking Hindus was associated with ISIS. I got the report out. So please don't come here. But what I'm making a larger point. The Indian Muslims
condemn radical Islam?
Please, sir,
do you condemn jihadi terror? Do you acknowledge that global jihad is the biggest threat today?
He started out. Sanju, to be fair to him, he did start out condemning. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's call a spade a spade. It was in fact Mr. Ahmed Ayaz who was talking about Islamism, and we will come to him as well. There are several other panelists on the show. Please be patient. One at a time. I'm going to come to each of you. You will all get your turn. Tehseen, quickly conclude your point, please.
Quickly. Not just do I condemn it, I am asking those who shouted Afzal Guru, hum sharminda hai, tere qatil zinda hai, why do you still not file a charge sheet against the remaining people? Why they got? What is this, yaar? You're on a national TV.
You should ask Rahul Gandhi.
Okay, we'll let him. Sanju, let him speak. Sanju, I will give you a chance to respond. Let him make his point.
No, Madhav, this man has a habit of deviating.
One at a time. He has a right to ask you questions. Give him 30 seconds. Let him make his point. You can respond to him. Nobody is letting him get away with whatever he's saying. You can respond to him, but please wait 30 seconds. Tehseen, quickly.
Nothing on the internet, YouTube or TV can be deleted as much as this government thinks it can be deleted. Please see what my remarks were then when our Hindu citizens were attacked. Number one. Number two, why you still not file charge sheet? Forget Rahul Gandhi, Anand Sharma, Arvind Kejriwal. You are in government. Please do that and throw them in jail. Last thing and the most pertinent point. I'm just making this point to reiterate the point. while Muslims constitute a small population in England, the percentage in jail is very high, about 18%, as Sanju rightly said. However, the Indian Muslims in jail is equivalent to Indian Hindus, less than the population. That means Indian Muslims identify with India.
Okay.
We need to protect Indian Hindus and Muslims and be one.
All right. All right.
ISIS radicalization.
All right. You made your point. You made your point. Now, Sanju, you wanted to respond to him? Please respond.
You know, Madhav, Tehseen is the master of subterfuge and deception. He comes here and he waxes eloquent about, why is this government not charge sheeting those involved in shouting slogans of Afzal Hum Sharminda Hain. And this is the same Tehseen Poonawalla who was shedding copious tears when Disha Ravi, a so-called climate activist, was busy attending web seminars organized by Peace for Justice, which is a banned organization in India. This is the same Tehseen Poonawalla who will sit here and give a bhashan on secularism, but he was shedding copious tears when Shantanu Gupta and Nikita Jacob, a so-called journalist, were attending webinars organized by Poetic Justice Foundation, which is also a banned organization and led by Mo Dhaliwal. So, Tehseen Poonawalla, you are both a liar and a hypocrite. We don't need lectures from you. You know, Madhav, I just want to say...
very important because the role of Khalistanis is also spoken about. The role of Khalistan supporters is also very seriously... It's not a laughing matter, Tehseen. They have very seriously referred to it. If you've read the report.
I read the report. I am a liar. I am a hypocrite. I am everything. But you are in government. Kindly act. This is not about Tehseen. Thank you for making it about me.
Madhav, 10 seconds.
Let me now, please, because this is just otherwise just become a sparring between the two of you. I'm coming to all of you. For the moment, I'm not coming to either of you, either Tehseen or Sanju Verma. Let me go across to other panelists who've not yet come in. Others have not yet come in. Please let me bring in Shahid Ali. Shahid Ali, your response to this, because specifically we all remember what happened when Leicester violence was reported. There was a section of intelligentsia, of political activists who chose to call this a result of Hindutva extremism. Will you now acknowledge, sir, that it was not Hindutva extremism, but it is the threat of Islamism that has been flagged in this entire review and this exercise by the UK government?
I am really surprised from this episode, which I am watching, in fact, and also participating as one of the panelists. The report of UK is that the Pakistan is inciting peoples of UK in the name of religion to incite them in respect of Kashmir and Khalistan. But you people have been linking that report along with some of the co-panelists with Islamic terrorism and all kind of things. So report is particularly with regard to Pakistan. India should take action against Pakistan. And there are the other reports as well. There are other reports as well who links unfortunately our Hindu brothers and other brothers with the terrorism.
Which are these reports, sir? Please bring them out. Please tell us.
That if a particular
which government, which agency? Please tell us. Which government, which agency has said this? Please enlighten us.
There are various.
What is the date of the report?
Recently our country, and we are with the country, has banned.
No. You said there are reports. Tell us the date, the agency, and the government. Please tell us, since you know about certain reports, please give us the details. What is the name of the report?
Agencies.
Which agencies?
There are many agencies.
Well, not many. Tell me specifics. Don't talk generalities. This is the problem, Shahid Ali. You're a lawyer. You're talking through your hat without any facts at your disposal. Without any facts, you're only trying to whip up an emotional argument, and that, unfortunately, is also one of the things that is mentioned in this report. That emotional arguments are used to whip up passions. Unfortunately, you're doing the same thing, Mr. Shahid Ali, and I think you're completely exposing yourself and your lack of knowledge on this. Let me bring in Anirban. Anirban, these are serious... No, 1 second, sir. These are two serious issues to be talked about in the air. At least speak in facts, sir. If there are reports, please bring them. Nobody is stopping anyone from discussing them. But what is written in this report, can it just be thrown down the drain? Anirban.
Is that a question to me? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. This report has to be taken seriously by everybody. The UK government government, the authorities back in India, everyone must consider reports of this nature very seriously. This cannot be just simply brushed away. Islamic terrorism or terrorism of any kind, as you rightly said, cannot be linked with any religion or people who follow that religion. But when we are speaking about reports, we should also refer to the 2018 who they were linked with. We have seen one party in India whose members have been arrested for ISI links, who have been linked with terrorist organizations.
Sanju Verma.
These are reports in Indian media.
Okay. Your point is your question will be responded by Sanju Verma. Yes, Sanju Verma.
Madhav, I am not amused in the least bit that this so-called political analyst who bears allegiance to Mamata Banerjee is today giving a bhashan about, Hindutva, Hindu terrorism, saffron terrorism. There is a report just 4 days back. This report was carried out by Australia today. Times of India reported it. India today reported it.
These are the terms that you are using, madam. I didn't use that.
Okay, Anirban, let her make a point now. Let's not heckle each other, please. I've given you enough time to speak. Everyone gets their turn here.
Yes.
Let her make her point and you can respond to her. I will allow you to rebut her. Sanju Verma.
There is a report that the Modi government actually under its aegis, minorities, their right to religious freedom has been protected like never before. This is the Global Minority Report created by the Center for Policy Analysis. It figured 110 nations. 110 nations, minorities from these nations were surveyed. And you know what is the rank of India in the Global Minority Report, which talks about minority protection? India ranks #1. No mainstream media has discussed this. Today, if India's rank was 51 or 61 out of 110 countries, the same Anirban Banerjee would have quoted this report. Now I tell you, are you telling me the Global Minority Report creates...
But I'm going to give Anirban a chance to respond, as I said earlier. Anirban.
See, Sanju Verma is basically blaming you. Times now that you haven't spoken about this particular report that she's referring to. None of us know about this report. You should come up. You should also talk about this particular report. But the CIA report, ma'am, just a minute.
Okay, now Sanju.
The CIA report was talked about.
Sanju, you made a point. Let him respond. Let him respond, please. Yeah, you've made your point, Sanju. Now let him respond.
This is a UK report. Yeah, this is a UK report that we're speaking about. We can of course discuss about it. But back home, when there are so-called fringe elements actually supported by the BJP and the RSS, the entire ecosystem, who have gone around lynching people in broad daylight, we should stay quiet.
All right. This report versus report is fine.
As Desdrohis, as Tukre gangs. Therefore, these people are actually propagating terrorism in a different form.
Let me bring it
back in India.
Let me come in now. Shantanu is also with us. Shantanu, the question is this. The question is that, ultimately it becomes about equating. Here you have Anirban, who is saying that what about groups within India who are engaged in lynching, who are engaged in so-called Gau Raksha, but use that as a pretext for violence? Are the two comparable in your view?
First of all, not at all, and we have debated enough about it. Prime Minister has spoken about it, RSS chief has spoken about it, and this is the danger that Anirban has created is a far more bigger danger. One danger is how Pakistani radical Islamists are radicalizing UK Muslims, right? Second thing, how with the winding jalebi roundabout tree, whatever tree, someone like
I've seen people garlanding the gang rapists. After election. Bilkis Bano gang rapists, mass murderers, they have been released by the BJP government. And these people have garlanded them.
But then the problem is that they will also then the BJP will also come out and talk about what TMC is doing in Bengal, the post-poll violence and other acts that the government has, very clearly turned a blind eye to, and various commissions have spoken about. But let me quickly bring in Shantanu on that. Shantanu, quick response from you.
Yeah, I'll say the same which you said. Then if we are doing what about tree, then listed all the TMC violence. What the TMC cadre is doing to RSS and to BJP after election, and from High Court to various commission, as you rightly said, is pointed out. Then if we are doing the session of what about tree, then talk about Kerala, then talk about PFI, then talk about everything, right? What are you doing only with selective what about tree? If you are so much on what about tree tonight.
All right, this is selective what about tree, Tehseen Poonawalla. Selective what about tree happening.
Just two very brief points. I just hope I'm not interrupted. I'll be very brief. Number one, I completely concede to the Khalistan problem. It's a massive problem. But do you know, Madhav, the two votings that took place for separate Khalistan, one in Canada and one in Australia, both the MPs who attended this voting and voted for a separate, encouraged for the vote for a separate Khalistan were conservative MPs that are wooed by this government. It's a fact. Second thing, I just want to bring one thing to your viewers' notice. Actually, I support everything Shantanu is saying, but just fact check for your viewers. Very grateful to Sanju Ji for bringing out the Center for Policy Analysis, which is an RSS-linked think tank, and Durga Jha, who I know, in 2014 was a member of BJP. This is a fact. I'm ready to be sued if this is wrong.
Oh my God.
It's not what about me. I'm just putting this out. Just putting this out for public knowledge.
Please, be sporting for a change. Stop playing victim
I'm
card
very
all the
sporting.
time.
I'm telling everything
You're
Shantanu
always
is correct.
To put this question across to Ahmed Ayaz. Ahmed Ayaz, here you have many people on the panel, Ahmed Ayaz, today. Tehseen Poonawalla, Anirban Banerjee. They are no fans of the BJP or the VHP or the RSS. In fact, they are politically very strongly opposed to them, and they've just articulated their position as well. But they are also saying that the position that you are taking is absolutely wrong, sir, because you're blinding yourself to a problem that is unfortunately sort of raising its heads in different parts of the world, not just a country here in India. Why would you be so blind to what is a UK government report? Are we not even going to trust different agencies of different countries saying the same thing?
No, I'm not blind to it, but I have a base what I said. You see, point is that everybody needs to understand that Islam has its own parameters. When you call, radicalization, one does not understand what do you mean by this radicalization, because Islam has its own parameters and there can't be anything beyond that.
Path to violence,
so what can be there like radicalization?
Is anybody who believes a path to violence is radical? Is that very difficult a concept? Anybody who picks up the gun?
No, that's what I say. No, then the
why is radicalization so difficult?
Then the question of Islamic radicalization should not come.
Why should it not come, sir? No, let's now, Mr. Ahmed Ayaz, this kind of, this is the problem. You're refusing to accept the concept of radicalization. You refuse to accept people who are, taking the path of violence, who are in fact attacking mosques today, sir. Those who have attacked mosques in Pakistan, what are they? Are they not radicals? Are they not radicals?
Madhav, those may be individuals. Madhav, those may be individuals. But when you say that Islamic radicalization, Islam does not.
So those are the individuals. Those are the individuals who are, as this report says, a whole list of things that have been put over here. And Ahmed Ayaz, I don't think you even read this report.
Absolutely.
Because you're completely talking through your head today.
Individuals. Madhav, call them individuals.
No.
Madhav, call them individuals so far as Pakistan...
no, when there are people espousing the cause of violence and there are groups involved in it, how can it be individuals, sir? I fail to understand. There are tanzeems in Kashmir, are they not? Are tanzeems individual efforts, Ahmed Ayaz?
Which are the organization? Which are...
so it's not an organized attempt. Why are you saying individuals?
Maybe there are terror outfits, we don't know.
Mr. Ahmed Ayaz, it is amazing. It is amazing, sir, as someone who has lived in Kashmir, how much of denial you can be in. Quick closing comment. Okay, quick closing comment from Sanju. Yeah, quick closing comment. We're very short on time now. Sanju Verma, 30 seconds. Closing comment.
You don't allow me to...
I'm giving you the floor. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Let me be very clear. Whether it is the Charlie Hebdo attack, whether it was the Brussels bombing, whether it was the Mecca Medina bombing, whether it was the Manchester bombing, whether it was the Lone Wolf attack at an Orlando nightclub, there is only one ideology behind it, and that is radical Islam. And United Nations Human Rights Committee says that 9 out of 10 organizations in the world owe their origin to radical Islam. From Boko Haram to Jaish-e-Mohammed to Jamaat-ud-Dawa to Lashkar-e-Taiba to ISIS. So please, Mr. Ayaz, now don't start telling me the United Nations is also RSS's sponsored, baby. And I have just this to say to Anirban, when you talk about Hindu terror.
Just a thought as we leave. Just a thought as we leave, because we're completely out of time, Sanju Verma. Is it something that other countries also need to wake up to, and here in India also all need to wake up to? We'll have to leave it there for the moment. I'd like to thank all our panelists for joining us, Sanju Verma and Shantanu Gupta, as well as Tehseen. Continue with us for debate number 2.